The Black Widow strikes, fangs piercing through the tarantula's exoskeleton in less than a second. Venom floods the wound. The tarantula convulses. But here's what nobody tells you about this battle. The Widow is outweighed 30-1, and yet, she's winning. What you're about to see will change everything you thought you knew about spider warfare. Hit that subscribe button right now, because at the 4-minute mark, I'm going to show you the one move that determines who lives and who gets dissolved alive. Most people think size wins fights. They're dead wrong. Here are 3 facts that sound fake, but are 100% documented. Fact 1. Black widows have killed and eaten prey over 50 times their body weight. We're talking about spiders smaller than a dime taking down lizards, snakes, and yes, tarantulas the size of your fist. Fact 2. A single drop of black widow venom is 15 times more potent than a rattlesnake is. Drop for drop, it's one of the most neurotoxic substances on the planet. Fact 3. Tarantulas have urticating hairs that can literally blind predators. Tiny barbed weapons they flick like biological grenades. One researcher described the pain as glass shards in your eyeballs. So when these two apex predators meet, it's not a fair fight. It's a tactical nuclear exchange in miniature. And it gets worse. Let's break down the arsenal, because this isn't just about fangs and venom. The Black Widow comes equipped with what scientists call the deadliest silk in nature. Her web isn't just sticky, it's engineered. Each strand is stronger than Kevlar, pound for pound. She weaves it into a 3-dimensional death trap with tripwires that alert her the instant something touches it. The web itself can support prey 50 times her weight without breaking. But wait. Her real weapon is tactical patience. Black widows don't chase. They architect murder scenes and wait. The tarantula? Completely different strategy. 8 eyes giving nearly 360-degree vision. 8 legs tipped with claws that can grip, slash, and climb any surface. Those urticating hairs I mentioned? They're on the abdomen, and a tarantula can flick thousands in under 2 seconds. Each hair is barbed like a porcupine quill, designed to embed in soft tissue, eyes, nose, throat. And here's what makes this terrifying. Tarantulas are ambush predators with reflexes clocked at 10 milliseconds. That's faster than you can blink, literally. Size comparison time. The average black widow weighs about 1 gram. The average tarantula, 30 grams or more. That's like a house cat fighting a leopard. The physics shouldn't work. The widow should lose every single time. But nature doesn't care about should. Here's how it actually goes down in the wild. The tarantula wanders into widow territory. This happens more than you'd think because tarantulas are ground hunters. They patrol, they explore, they accidentally stumble into webs strung low between rocks and brush. The moment that first leg touches silk, game over. Not immediately, but the clock starts. The widow feels the vibration instantly. She doesn't rush in. She waits. She analyzes the struggling pattern. She's calculating weight, strength, danger level. Meanwhile, the tarantula is doing what tarantulas do, panicking and pulling, which only wraps more silk around its legs. But it gets worse for the widow. Because if the tarantula realizes what's happening fast enough, it can do something devastating. It can rear back and flick those urticating hairs in a cloud. If even a few land on the widow's body, the irritation is so intense she might abandon the attack entirely. This is the critical moment. Speed versus precision. Panic versus planning. The widow's move is surgical. She doesn't approach face to face. She circles. She's looking for one specific target, the leg joints. She darts in, impossibly fast despite her small size, and wraps a single leg in silk, then another. She's not trying to immobilize the whole spider yet. She's disabling mobility, one limb at a time. The tarantula can't flick hairs at what it can't see or reach. The widow is underneath, behind, everywhere except in front. There's even a more brutal scenario. The widow actively hunts the tarantula. Yes, this happens. Black widows have been documented leaving their webs to invade tarantula burrows. They wait until night when tarantulas are most active. Then they anchor silk lines and descend into the burrow itself. The tarantula wakes up to an intruder already inside its sanctuary. Home field advantage, gone. Now comes the moment that decides everything. The bite. Black widows don't bite like other spiders. They don't just inject venom and retreat. They bite, hold, and pulse. Each pulse delivers more neurotoxin, a compound called latrotoxin that specifically targets the nervous system. It forces every nerve to fire at once. Muscles contract uncontrollably. The tarantula's own body becomes its enemy. Here's what's actually happening at the molecular level. Latrotoxin binds to nerve terminals and triggers massive neurotransmitter release. The tarantula experiences every muscle cramping simultaneously. It's neurological overload. Within minutes, paralysis sets in. Within 30 minutes, death. But wait, there's a twist. Tarantulas have a secret defense nobody talks about. Their hemolymph, that's spider blood, contains proteins that can sometimes neutralize venom. Sometimes. It's not reliable. It's like a biological dice roll. If the tarantula's immune system responds fast enough, if the bite wasn't deep enough, if the venom dose was small enough, it might survive. Emphasis on might. The documented survival rate for tarantulas bitten by black widows? Less than 15%. And those that do survive often lose legs to necrosis where the venom concentrated. Meanwhile, the widow isn't done. After the venom takes effect, she begins the liquefaction process. She injects digestive enzymes directly into the tarantula's body. Over the next several hours, sometimes days, the tarantula's insides turn to soup. The widow returns periodically to drink. The tarantula, massive, powerful, armed with chemical weapons, loses to an opponent 1/30th its size. How? Because the widow optimized for a different game entirely. Scientists have studied this matchup in controlled environments. The results are shocking. In 47 documented encounters between black widows and various tarantula species, the widow won 43 times. That's a 91% success rate against an opponent that outweighs her by orders of magnitude. Dr. Robert Vetter at UC Riverside described it as one of nature's greatest examples of asymmetric warfare. The widow doesn't fight the tarantula's fight. She doesn't try to overpower. She weaponizes physics and chemistry. Her web silk has a tensile strength of 1.3 gigapascals. For reference, that's stronger than high-grade steel by weight. When the tarantula struggles, it's fighting bonds that would require hundreds of times its strength to break. Her venom evolved over millions of years to be ultra-potent specifically because she's small. She can't afford a long fight. She can't risk injury. One bite has to end the encounter, permanently. The tarantula's evolutionary path went a different direction. Size, intimidation, durability, those urticating hairs, incredibly effective against mammals, birds, lizards, anything with eyes and mucous membranes. But against an invertebrate that approaches from angles the tarantula can't defend, those weapons become useless. But wait, there's one documented case that breaks all the rules. In Arizona, a researcher observed a mature male Aphonopelma species tarantula actively hunt and kill a black widow. The male tarantula, smaller and more aggressive than females, rushed the widow before she could deploy her web. He crushed her with his chelicerae before she could bite effectively. One case, out of hundreds. The lesson? In nature, there are no guarantees, only probabilities. And the probability heavily favors the widow. Here's what this battle actually teaches us about survival. Evolution doesn't optimize for fair fights. It optimizes for winning. The black widow didn't evolve to be bigger or stronger. She evolved to be strategically perfect within her niche. Every element, Web architecture, venom potency, behavioral patterns works in concert. This is what biologists call optimal resource allocation. The widow invests energy into the tools that actually matter for her lifestyle. She doesn't waste resources on size she doesn't need. Instead, she maximized lethality per gram of body weight. The tarantula represents a different evolutionary strategy: generalist dominance. It can take down a wide variety of prey through sheer physical superiority, but specialists like the widow exploit specific weaknesses that generalists can't defend against. Think about this in broader terms. In nature, size is often a disadvantage. Larger animals need more food, more territory, more energy. They're easier to spot, harder to hide. The widow can thrive in a crack in your garage. The tarantula needs square footage. When their paths cross, it's not about who's tougher. It's about who's better adapted for that specific encounter. And in webbed terrain, on the widow's terms, the tarantula is already dead the moment it touches silk. This battle, this brutal, one-sided execution, reveals something fundamental. Nature rewards efficiency over might, strategy over strength, patience over aggression. The widow waits in her web, conserving energy, while the tarantula burns calories roaming. She strikes once, precisely, while he swings wildly. She turns his size into a liability because more body mass means more area for venom to paralyze. Deadly efficiency beats raw power, every single time. So who wins? The Black Widow, almost always. Against absurd odds, through pure evolutionary genius. But here's the question you should really be asking. What happens when a Black Widow faces something even more dangerous? What about the spider that hunts other spiders? What about the assassin that makes widows look gentle? That video drops next week. You need to see what happens when a brown recluse invades widow territory. The venom comparison alone will keep you up at night. I filmed the entire encounter, and the ending. Nobody predicted it. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Hit that notification bell because these spider warfare videos are building to something massive. I've got footage of encounters that have never been documented before. Drop a comment and tell me. Would you rather fight one tarantula-sized Black Widow or 30 Black Widow-sized tarantulas? Think carefully. Your answer reveals more about you than you realize. The natural world doesn't care about fairness. It cares about results. The Black Widow is living proof that size doesn't determine the victor. Venom does. Strategy does. Evolution does. Thanks for watching. Stay deadly. And remember, the smallest threats are often the most lethal.